Welcome to our podcast, Spiritual Vacancy. We are here to help fill your spiritual void and to help you find your inner light. My name is Brooke Ann. I'm a psychic medium, Reiki practitioner, paranormal investigator, and I co-own the Inner Light in Myrtle Beach with my first co-host, who is Lee. Lee is a Reiki master, intuitive tarot reader, and a paranormal investigator as well. And the third co host is Kimberly. She's a psychic medium, Reiki master, and an intuitive healer. All of us thank you for listening in, and we hope you enjoy today's episode. Okay, so today, ladies, we are talking about being positive. How do we handle criticism with what we do in the public eye or with friends or family? And how do we handle skeptics, especially if we're on a one-on-one or in a group session? So, what do y'all think? How does this affect you? Do you guys care what other people think about what you do in your life or the public eye? Or have you actually been publicly criticized for what you do as a psychic medium, tarot, Reiki practitioner?
That's a big one.
Hmm.
Uh, Lee, you want to go first or do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
For me, I felt like when I first started to take classes on mediumship and really want to do more in the spiritual realm, um, I was worried about what people would say. My children were small. I didn't want them to say, "Oh, your mom's a witch," like the whole thing that comes along with it. And I was concerned about other people, what they were thinking. But the more I stepped into the spiritual path and took classes, understood that other world, that spirit world, and just got closer, I felt closer even to God. Like I felt closer to that source. Angels, guides, I could feel them. They were even stronger as I went on my journey. So for me, I feel like once I started to do more and take more classes and meet more like-minded people in it, I cared less about what just everyone would think or say, or because I realized I am doing this for the highest good. I'm doing it for the highest good of all. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not harming anyone. I care and I want to help others, especially with grief. You want to help them learn how to grieve and go through the process and understand that the soul does not die. So once you see that your path is helping others and you care and you're not coming from a dark place, I kind of let go of that and didn't care anymore. And I've had some hurtful comments. My daughter went through a trauma in high school, and there was a big thing about the prom and everything. But I had a mother of a fellow student, now he was a male student, message me and say that my daughter should have went to the prom in an orange jumpsuit, meaning jail. Okay. Because there was a trauma that happened and she was a witness to something. But anyway, and then she said, what you do is very hurtful to people, meaning the mediumship. And I thought, wow, and it hurt. And it was really, I got really mad and angry, but then I processed it and realized, I tried to pray on it. I meditated on it, and I just got that she was unenlightened. She was at a different vibration and frequency, a very low level, someone tampered in drugs, tampered in alcohol, the darker, lower level energy. So I got from my meditations to just stay in the light, stay positive, understand that it's unenlightened, meant that's really where that hurtful stuff was coming from. And once I saw that differently, I didn't get so offended or, take it so personal. I just let it, I mean, it's hard. It was very hurtful. I thought, very nasty, mean. She said a lot of other mean things. And I thought, how could somebody be so mean? But I know myself and I know where I come from and I know I'm coming from a good place. So, I think meditation helped a lot, staying with the light and just that praying and connecting and knowing that, where it was coming from really helped deal with the negative.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, well, I would very much agree with what you're saying, Kimberly, that everyone has their own path, and everybody is, on their own soul's journey. We all are here for our own purpose. And some people are going to live this lifetime. Um, it's not their lifetime to necessarily level up. It's not, we all have lessons, right? And some of us are living this lifetime on an illuminated, elevated journey, right? And so I think, much like Kimberly said, for me, anytime I deal with any kind of skepticism or, especially being in the Bible Belt, honey, it's just,
Mhm.
I'm like, I've grown up loving witches anyway. I wanted nothing more than to be a witch my whole life. And so I consider it a compliment, but, I mean, I think it's kind of, it comes with the territory of what we do. And, I am probably more so, I would say, than Brooke for sure. I definitely live my life very publicly and out loud, and that's something that, like, I'm pushing Brooke out of the spiritual closet a little bit. I think I'm like, just own it, baby,
I'm very private. I'm just a
yeah,
very private person.
yeah, which is fine, but for me, I think, I have a degree in theater, so I'm used to just being out there. So when I started to really do this for a living and do it, for kind of my, like, what I do, and really putting it out there, there was definitely some people that unfriended me, and some people that unfollowed, and that's okay. Like, I am just of the belief that everyone deserves to believe in what they believe in. If and whatever gets you through the day, more power to you. Like, I don't come from a place of judgment for other people's beliefs. And so if they do towards me, that's really their prerogative. They can judge me all they want. It's not going to change what I'm doing.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
still be over here doing me, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and I think also, as long as I keep spirit, God, universe, at the center of everything I do, and my mission through everything is to I don't like the term healer necessarily, because I don't think I'm any different than anybody else. I think we all have the ability to heal ourselves, but I like to just act as, maybe I'm just kind of put in your path to aid you in a shift of perspective and a shift of direction.
Right.
So yeah, I if people believe, they can believe what they want. It's not going to change what I believe. It's not going to change what I'm doing and my purpose for being here. So yeah.
Yeah, it is hard. I think like living in the South is hard. And then I have I have to navigate all my other careers, and like one doesn't know me from the other one, or vice versa, or who I keep separate. And I am a very private person just by nature. Like I don't talk about myself or try to put myself out there. And that was really hard for me to come out of, like actually put it on my personal Facebook page, I think in 2022, and then I actually privated it after I put it out, because I'm like, I don't think everybody needs to know, but I actually didn't really have any negative feedback. Everybody was actually really supportive of my journey and really supportive of me. And then people that knew me knew I'd been on this path for a very long time, even before I became public. But I
Right.
still have an issue telling, like when people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, own a restaurant, or oh, I bake, or oh, do a lot of stuff. Like I still won't even say, because I'm like, if you're supposed to be in front of me, you will. Like if
But
you're,
what is that? Why not?
I don't know. I don't know if it's
Is it
the
fear of judgment, or
Like
is it
probably like the judgment, or just like ignorance is bliss, or like a lot of times if I have been honest with people, they're like, well, who's here now, read me now, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm not working, so it's like, if you want to book a session, here you go. But it's kind of annoying when people are like, find out what you do, and then they think you're just gonna like immediately read them like on the spot, like we owe them something, or to prove ourselves in a certain way. And it could be like judgment. It could be just where I really don't care if people know what I do or don't do, like I just am me, don't label me, I don't like labels. And but I think it is harder in the South. Like if we were still in California, there's like mediums everywhere. Everybody is very much open, or a larger city, I should say.
Hmm.
A larger city, like even Charleston would be open, Charlotte. But here in Myrtle Beach, I feel like there is so much judgment around what we do. Like they will love you, but then if they find out what you do, now automatically you're like an evil person. How can you do that? Like even like online, if you ever watch like somebody ask if like where's a tarot reader or where's a medium,
Oh yeah.
they
Oh yeah, they'll put the devil's
like
work.
a
Oh
freaking witch
yeah.
hunt. I'm like, oh my God, this is really how people feel though, because they're like hiding behind the keyboard. They might not say that to our face, but they're definitely showing it online, and that's like scary. And so sometimes I don't like people to know exactly where our office is because people are crazy. And I've even had like people book sessions with me. And if they're men, like I'll tell Jeremy, like, look at the cameras, make sure, because I don't know if somebody's like booking it to hurt me. Like the
Mhm.
like people's mental state sometimes scares me with what we do because sometimes people would spend the money just to like cause harm. I mean, knock on wood, everybody's been amazing. But I mean, there it has been times where I'm like, I don't know why this guy had booked, and a lot of men don't book with me. So when they do, it worries me, especially if they don't put anything in the message or there's not a lot of communication. And people here are like fucking nuts. Like they are though. Like they're racist, they're judgmental, they were like witches, we're the devil to them. And like the things that they just have the audacity to do nowadays is like a little scary.
Mhm.
So that kind of puts fear in me too, depending on, who I want to tell or who we're around or but then that kind of brings me into like skepticism. Like I think healthy skepticism on what we do is totally normal
Mhm.
and that is like okay, but I think sometimes when people are so skeptic, it's draining.
Yeah.
Like when I do group readings and people are like, "Aren't you drained?" And I'm like, I'm not drained from the dead. I'm like literally drained from all of these living people in the space because
Yeah.
the amount of pressure they put on us or the amount of if you don't say something exactly right, then you're totally full of shit. Or, you know what I mean? It's a
Mhm.
lot. And people don't realize that don't do this kind of work, how much energy we put into reading multiple people within a short amount of time. And they're
Yep.
just like, it should be easy, we should know, but it is really freaking hard. But I'm
Mhm.
like, the people in spirit are easy. They're the ones that are like giving me energy. I'm like, the freaking living are draining as hell. Like we're like, oh my God. But I have literally been heckled at a group. Yeah, I have had people just so shut off where even if the information's correct, they don't even want to admit it. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, oh my God. Like, it's like just listen. You don't have to like overthink every single thing I say. And they can definitely test you, but you just got to be yourself and you got to be in a place where I trust spirit enough where it doesn't matter if they don't think I'm right. I just got to go with it because
Mhm.
I'm not getting it for just any reason. There's a reason why I'm getting that information, right? But I can tell you it's draining dealing with people that are hugely skeptical. And I'm like, sometimes I just wonder, like, why are you here? Why did you sign up? Why did you book if like you're just literally gonna test me the whole time? Which is crazy because I'm thinking, what other profession do you go to that people go to that every day they walk in and someone's gonna tell them they're full of shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how fun is that? And then they wonder why people don't want to do this professionally because it's a lot.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah, the naysayers are hard. But I like a skeptic sometimes, especially in a group, because then when you do get someone in that spirit loved one gives you so much validation and evidence. How can you not say they're here?
Mhm.
I like when they're proved, like, wow. Like I had a guy come up to me after an event and say, I didn't want to come here. My wife made me come. And he was one of the first people I read for. And he goes, how did you just knew too much? He told my husband, he went over to my husband, he says, is that your wife? He's like, yeah. He goes, she just made me a believer. So he was like so like dumbfounded. He could not believe, I guess, the information that came forward, and he became a believer. So I kind of like when you get someone that isn't, and then you have so much of that evidence and validation that how could, it's like your loved ones here, they're visiting.
Yeah, but you'll still
Mhm.
get people that you can give
I
like
I know you
everything
got
accurate, and then they're still like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh wow, so how many people die of skin cancer at a young age? But
right. Okay.
okay, you're
Mm-hmm.
right. I'm totally wrong, right? Because it's like you can give that like specific evidence, and they're still like, I don't really know if you're talking to the person. And it's like, okay.
Wow. Yeah.
But
So,
it's so funny because this is also kind of like with my background in theater, like you only remember the bad auditions, or you only
Yeah,
remember
so
the
true.
bad, that one time I cracked on that one note when in that 3 week run of a show. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
those bad moments, or I have a vivid memory of the worst reading I've ever done. Her name was Carla. What's up, Carla? If you're listening, I remember you.
Hey, Carla.
Like, and it was because our energy just was not vibing. And I vividly remember it, but like for that one bad reading, I've done hundreds of amazing ones. And it's, I think it's funny the way those, it's how we're programmed. Like the skeptics and the naysayers and the negative experiences
Mhm.
are the first thing we think about. And it's that it puts a level of doubt in us about, like, is this what I should be doing,
Mhm.
instead of the
Mhm.
validation that comes from the hundreds of amazing experiences and readings that you give. So
Right.
I think that's just like a nice reminder that
It
even
is.
if we even if we, I mean, we're all human. That's the thing. Like, even if we're connected to spirit mediums, whatever, we're all humans, and humans have bad days, and we have days that we're tired, and we have days that we're run down, and you know that it's just the nature of it. And
Yeah.
I think anyone that goes into any kind of spiritual session expecting 100% accuracy is,
Mhm.
you're just being set up for failure.
Mhm.
It's not fair. It's like you
Right.
said, like, what other profession would you go in,
Right.
if your server forgets your ranch, you don't like call them
Right.
out on, like. So I
Right.
think, I don't know, I think we, just like everybody else, there should be a little bit of a margin for error because we're human.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one lady I had, she came to my house and she was disappointed because I wouldn't tell her when she was going to die. I'm not even joking.
No.
Hmm.
I
Did you know?
She had stage 4 cancer. Like she literally was like, I have stage 4 cancer. When am I going to die? I need you to tell me. And I'm like, that's not ethical. I'm not going to tell you like
No.
when you're going to die. Like this is why you book the session for me to tell you when, I mean, I just was like, what? Like
Yeah.
even when that was the first thing she said when she sat down. And I'm like, huh? And she goes, well, I have stage 4 cancer and I just need to know. And I'm like, but that's not what I do. That's not how I work. You know what I mean? I'll communicate with your loved ones, but you also have free will. So like you could make yourself die tomorrow if you choose, right?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
you could still have even in stage 4 a couple more years. That's not my decision to tell you. I'm not
Mm.
God. You
Oh,
know, like I just thought that was crazy that she said that.
yeah.
wow.
She
That's
has
why.
since passed, by the way. She has. She did pass away last year. But yeah, I just think that's a little much to that's something nobody should ask. And nobody should tell either. Like I don't know how y'all feel, but I don't feel ethical of anybody to be like, "Oh, you're gonna die," or "Oh, this is gonna,"
Mm.
like that is so wrong on like
Yep.
all levels.
Agreed.
Yeah, to say that to anybody because you're putting harm that doesn't need to be there.
No.
Um, well, what about you, Kimberly? How do you deal with like skepticism and like I know with like groups, but have you ever had a group or like somebody that just did not believe like at all what you were saying, no
You know,
matter how accurate it actually was?
I'll be honest, I've never had anyone after they've received a reading not believe anymore. Just like even I don't know, this one lady I read for, she ends up working where my husband works. And she said, is that your wife? Because, we had the same last name because she had to pay me and she did it through Venmo. So then she knew my last name. And she was like, I was 100% not a believer. And she went on and on to him. And he came home he's like, you read for this lady. And but he said at the end, she was so I don't know, just shocked of the things that came through that she said now I can't not believe. So
Right.
I've never had one that was totally, I did have one person, I've had, instead of the not believing, I had one mad because of what came through.
Mm-hmm.
She was here with I think it was, I don't know if it was her daughter, or, a family member, and they came together and she was not liking what I was saying, like what this loved one was bringing forward. And she was like, nope, nope, nope. And she was just really like negative the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm sorry. This is what was brought forward. This is what I'm getting. I can't change what they're saying. She was so cranky and mean about it. And the loved one, when they were leaving, she came over to me and said, everything that you said was accurate. It's so true. She just doesn't want to hear it. So that was my at least validation that I knew this was coming forward for a reason, but she was refusing. She was like, I don't want to hear that. So that was weird because I thought you came for the reading, but yet you don't want to listen to what is coming forth. So that was a little awkward, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't say things that aren't coming through. You have to say what is. So
Right.
change it just because they don't like it.
Right.
know? Or I had a lady mad because her ex-husband came through. Well, I don't want to hear from him. I said, well, I do work for spirit and for you, so I have to give the message from him, because I worked for him also. And I felt he needed to say the things to her so that he could heal. I felt like in spirit, he needed to say these things. So I had to tell her what he had to say. And
Oh, no, I'm
she
different.
was, she was cranky. Like, I don't want to hear from him. Ugh.
See, as soon as my client says they don't want to hear from anybody, I ask them to sit down.
Oh, do you?
Oh, 100%, yes. Because if people have unresolved anger issues with a loved one or anything like that, there's no reason for me to bring that up in our session. I'll switch the energies, ask them to sit down, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. They're not allowed. And then because we do work for spirit, but I also work for the client too. So
Right.
it's like I want my client to have a good experience. I don't want them to leave angry that the whole time I talked to someone they didn't want to talk to. So it's like, I think as like a trained medium, you ask them to sit down, you bring somebody else through who they were hoping to hear from without asking them, and then
Hmm.
go from there, right? Because you don't want to upset anybody, and definitely I would never give a message from someone that you didn't want to hear from.
Right. I mean, she heard from other people too, but it was like she really didn't want to hear from him. But I just feel like if they're there for a reason,
But
you know?
doesn't mean you have to share that message though. Because
Right.
as a medium, we have discernment. So we have to make sure that the person in front of us is okay with
Right.
what we're saying too. That's just my look. But if you choose to do that,
Right.
that's your thing. I would not, I don't do that. Because like I just don't want to affect the person sitting in front of me in a negative way. I want them to feel better when they leave my space, not worse. Sometimes if they don't say, and I'm still continuing talking to the loved one in spirit, and then they're like, well, I didn't really want to hear from them. Like, well, I wish you would have said that before I, continued talking with them, right?
Hmm.
But I still want to respect the person in front of me. And I've only had that happen a few times. It's very rare in all of my readings that they didn't want to really only one that really stands out where this lady's mom came through and she was like, I don't want to talk to my mom. I don't know why she's here. And I'm like, no problem. Switch over and a different level come through. Like, woo, that lady did not want her mom to say anything. So, and I don't know I'm sure there's like
Right.
a lot of bad shit that happened between them.
Hmm.
But I feel like even if we do like a so-called like bad rating, like for me, I know I'm still good at my job. I don't care if they believe or not. Like I know I delivered the evidence. I know I delivered the messages. Whether they choose to accept it, not my problem. Like it is what it is. Like I know this isn't fake. I know I'm not talking to like the air. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to just trust what we're getting and then go with it, you know? I think you have to have a strong personality to deal with people in different ways and how to navigate certain conversations with people.
Now, Lee, did you ever have like a reading where you read for someone and they were very upset about it or didn't want that reading, like they didn't like what came through?
Yeah, it's funny because I kind of feel like I fall in the middle of both of you with that because, it's interesting because with what you two do, there's nothing tangible, right? Like
Mhm,
there's obviously the evidence you provide, but there's not a visual.
mhm.
Okay.
With tarot,
There's a card. Yeah.
there's a card, right? And so I can always go back to like, well, that's what the card says, right? But yeah, I mean, I've absolutely, and it happens often that I tap into things that they'll come in and be like, I want to talk about work. Well, honey, when I laid your whole spread out, it's all about how your man is trifling and we got to talk about it. You know what I mean? And like
Sorry.
they'll be like, oh, but I wanted to know about work. And I'm like, well, until this issue is resolved and fixed, work is gonna be what it is. With tarot, you get exactly what you need in the moment. If we did your reading 5 minutes before or 5 minutes later, it could be totally different. This is what you need in the moment, right? I work with tarot as a tool for clarity, guidance, and validation. As far as fortune telling goes, much like Brooke said earlier, we all have free will, right? So if we have an outcome that we don't like, we have the option to shift it and change it. But in my sessions, you're going to hear what comes through in the cards. If there's something you don't want to talk about, like I respect that and I will handle it delicately, but I also, the cards fall the way they fall because it's things that you need to hear. If you didn't, if you, I will say this as a PSA, if you are looking for like a really fun, lighthearted, like tarot experience, I'm probably not the reader for you. Like that's not my it is fun and like I love a good kiki, but also like we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty. This is some real shit, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so I think I fall in the middle. I obviously don't want to further upset anybody,
Right.
but I think with tarot especially, it can really, what you need to hear is what's going to come through. And if you come in with the intention of I'm not going to talk about that, that's probably exactly what we're going to talk about, because that's what's really in your subconscious, and that's what the cards are going to read.
Yeah. It's the energy. It's going to read the energy. And that's how I
Right.
feel. I trust spirit so much that I know whatever comes in it's what's needed to be talked about or to discuss because
Mm-hmm.
it's coming in for a reason. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think, I don't do mediumship in the way that you two do. So it's a kind of a different animal. I'll have things come through, but like I said, I can always go back to the card. For y'all, it's
Hmm.
you're just kind of out there, talk about vulnerability and being raw and real. Like it's just it's like you said, you have to have a strong personality, and you have, because also, like you said, Kimberly, you're not only there for the reader, but you're also there as the conduit for spirit, and as a representative. Almost, it's like you're like,
You work
you
for
know
both. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's like you're in the, I don't know, the Congress or like the state house or something. Like I'm here representing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I agree, but I'll also disagree because I feel like I do work for spirit, but I also work, it's both ways, you
Right.
know?
Yeah,
And
for
Hmm.
sure.
that's the way you need to do that. And it's good, because I think that some people might not want someone to be like giving them more than what they want. So it's,
Hmm.
you kind of know when to say, okay, I need you to step aside.
Hmm. Well, I
But
mean,
and don't you think though that like I think it's interesting too if we're talking about energy. Like I think that if you're doing this work from the right place and from a place of being genuine and ethical, then you attract the clients that are going to vibe with you,
Right.
right? Like
right.
the clients that come to Brooke vibe with Brooke's energy, and that's why she's attracting them. The ones that come to me usually do want that kind of raw and real, nitty gritty kind
Yeah.
of reading, and like with Kimberly, they're coming to you, they're like, well, I guess my ex-husband's got something to say, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so I think
Heather,
we
I
all, what you put out is what you get back. So I think that's the beauty of it too, right? Like if all mediums were the same, if all tarot
Mhm.
readers were the same, what it, what would be the point in people trying different people, different modalities to see what you vibe with, you know?
Right.
So I think it's cool. I think it's cool we all kind of have a different
Yeah.
approach.
I do
Yeah.
too. Yeah, just on how we work with spirit, or because spirit's so intelligent, like
Mhm.
they are way smarter than we are, that's for sure, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like anytime I've had a reading, they haven't really been good. Like if I go to a medium, they're not good. And what I find fascinating is one grandma's still living and one's deceased. And everybody comes across that, oh, your grandma's so nice. No, she wasn't. She was the biggest bitch. She was the worst grandma. She would cuss me out. She would tell me I was stupid. She lied on me. We had to kick her out of my house. But every meeting was like, your grandma's so nice. She's so loving. And I'm like, okay. But it's like I feel like mediums just go with that, but that's not real life. Like if I connect with somebody's person in spirit and they owe apologies, they come through right away. Or if they might have had a sharp tongue or weren't as great, like not every grandma's the same, right? So it's interesting to me how mediums just go straight to, oh, your grandma was lovely. And I'm thinking, and it's like every time, but she wasn't. Like that was not our relationship.
Now, what if, okay, so say you were reading for yourself, let's say, and the grandmother came through that you say was a bitch, right?
Yeah. She should
Yeah.
come through with apologies that she was
But
mean to her children, that she was mean to me, she was mean to my sister, like she was not nice. She was not a typical grandmother, but
right,
yet she always comes through as like, she's so nice. And it's like, I just think some mediums are so fake and they don't really dive into the actual personality of the spirit. They just automatically think like grandmas are sweet. They're
right. But
not.
that's just,
Moms are not sweet.
they're not all the same.
They're not.
But here's the thing, if you were reading for somebody like that, like I notice when they come through and they are a little like they're not mushy or cuddly, I try to soften what I say just because I don't want to offend anybody. So I might just say they were stern or they were this or they were headstrong. Like I try to use words that I don't want to sound like, oh, they were so, call them names. Like I try to soften it, but yet come across that they weren't cuddly nice. I'll say stern or, I just kind of watch, I think, my words. I don't know how you would be like if you would come out and say, oh, they were mean, nasty, but I just try to
Well, but
soften.
I'm saying that's mine, but
Right.
nobody has said that. Why? Why has no medium said that? Like to me, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, are you really connecting with my grandma then? Because she wasn't nice in this life.
Right. I would say, oh, she doesn't feel nice. She doesn't feel like she was very nice to you. Or like, I think I would soften it, not say mean words, like real bad words, or,
Well, I would never either. I
I,
mean, like I'm professional,
right.
right? Like
Right.
that's not professional to say that.
Softening it because I feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to offend anybody, but this is how they're coming across. They're coming across nasty. So I
Well,
try,
look,
but I still want to be truthful,
well,
you know,
like for me, if they don't come in and give them a hug, if they pull
right.
away from them, I'm like, there must have been distance. You might not have a good relationship. If they come in with their head down, there's a lot of apologies that need to be
Yeah.
said. Like they're
Good.
not looking at me. The spirit is not looking at me, so I know there's issues there, right? So she might
Right.
not have been the nicest, or maybe that person needs to say some stuff and say sorries, because usually they come through right away with
Hmm.
apologies if they're needed, right? That's
Exactly.
never happened for me personally. So
Yeah.
that's where
Sad,
it gets,
sad because I think you need to hear that.
I really don't. I
You know,
just feel like, no, I don't, because I didn't talk to my grandma for years. Like, I didn't even know she died. My
oh,
dad didn't tell us till after 3 months after she passed
oh,
away. Like,
wow,
we're not close. Like, I have issues with my grandma because she would fucking on me. She would literally tell me I'm a stupid fucking bitch, and I was 5. She lived with us. Like,
wow.
I'm telling you, she's not a nice person. So, what I have a problem with is like going to a medium and then just being fake. Like, oh, I bet your grandma made you cookies. Oh, I bet your grandma was so nice. Like,
Yeah,
no, she wasn't. So then you wonder, so if I'm paying you for a session, like, who are you connecting with? Probably nobody, because my other grandma is still living.
right.
She's
So they're not.
95. So, and don't tell, and I hate when mediums are like, it's your spirit guide. Fuck off. Like, that is the biggest crack up. Like, pot of shit when mediums go right into it's your guide. Okay, there's no fucking validation. So you're just gonna go to some random fucking spirit that you don't even know about and your sitter doesn't know about, and you're like, they're your guide. She looks like this, and it's like, oh God, please stop. Like, please don't talk to me about my guides because I know all five of my guides. I know what
Did
they
you
look like.
say
So,
that?
hmm?
Did someone say that to you about that? Like go to your guides and say that? Like
Yeah.
in a, oh, they did.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I've seen other people do it too, like that do online stuff where they're like, your guide. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord. It's
Uh,
so bad when they go right to the guides because then I just know they're full of shit.
well, right. 'Cause
They're
that's,
not connected.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
so bad. But that's just my experiences. But then I wonder what other people experience, kind of like how Lee was like, the one lady was like, oh, your grandma. And she's like, like you're not
Both still
connected.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah. So like not connected, but pushing it so hard to be like connected, even though they're not. It's crazy to me. I
Yeah.
just don't get it, you know?
I just don't, I don't think I understand what the, like, you don't like have to be a practitioner or a professional in this field to be interested in it.
Correct. Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, it's
definitely.
okay if you explore your mediumship abilities in classes and use it in your day to day and like, but you don't have to be a professional medium that charges for it. Like, I think it's just interesting because there's like almost, it seems that it's like if you're interested in this world, then you have to be monetizing it in some way, or you have to be become, make it a thing that you do. It's like it could just be a part of your practice.
Hmm.
So I think like sometimes when you run into, those people online or, like there's a lot of tarot readers that it's okay if it's just a hobby.
Hmm.
It's okay if it's just something you use in your personal practice for clarity, or it's okay if you have a deck and you have to look up the meanings all the, it's okay. It doesn't, it's just like not everyone is going to be a lawyer, or not everyone is going to be a singer, or not like everybody has their own path. And I think for some reason it seems to me in this spiritual field especially that it's like the minute you get interested, then it's like I have to become this, and I have to charge for it, and I have to lead these things, and I have, and it's like it can just be a part of of your practice too also.
Right. No, you're
you
right.
know
I agree. I agree with you. Yes,
yeah.
I
And if
totally
you
agree.
are doing it professionally, it should still be a part of your practice, and it should still be something that you are actively learning and practicing
Hmm.
so that you stay sharp with your skills and you stay connected and you stay in tune.
Yeah.
It has to, you have to keep that connection for yourself
You have to
also.
you have to
Hmm.
practice your craft.
You
Yeah,
do, absolutely.
I agree. Because I still do classes. Do you do classes, Kimberly
Oh
and Lee?
yeah. I'm still contemplating going again this summer. So
Yeah.
I still take online classes, that I pay for,
Yeah.
to sharpen, like you said, Lee, sharpen your skills, learn something
Mhm.
new. I feel like in this kind of line of work, there's never like oh yay, you have now, you know,
yeah.
top tier,
You've achieved it. Yeah.
yeah, you're done. I don't feel
Yeah.
like that will ever be in this kind of work. Like we're always
No.
learning or striving for more. And Kimberly Lee is an amazing medium, by the way. Like she has read
Um,
me, and
I know she talks like she's not, you know?
she is
well,
though. Like I'm
it's
like,
just
let me
not.
throw that
I
in there because she is actually very, very good.
Thank you. But but it's interesting, right? Like, because it's the same with like Reiki. Like, I love Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, but is it necessarily the calling I feel is my like main modality? Not necessarily.
Right. That makes
Just
sense.
like evidential mediumship, I think is amazing. Do I think I definitely like want to develop it more, but Do I think that I will eventually be in a place where you two are, where I take clients and solely do that? Not necessarily. I think it's another tool in my tool belt for what I do. But for me, it's like what resonates for me is tarot, like hardcore through and through. So I think but I think I think they're all just little
Right.
tools we put in our belt that we can utilize
I
in
agree.
different ways.
Have
Yeah.
a toolbox, and you can never have enough tools, you know?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But even like Lee, like I read the regular deck of cards, and I still took a couple of years ago, I took a tarot class because I'm not as familiar with tarot because I'm drawn more to the regular deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed that tarot class because it came from a different perspective. It was
Yeah.
a male friend of mine who was teaching, and he does it a little bit different, in a different way. And it was very interesting,
Well,
and
yeah. And if you take, that's the cool thing is like I could take a mediumship course from you. I could take one from Brooke. I could take one from, other people. I've taken two so far. And I always learn something completely different. It's the same. You both approach it differently. And, just like I have a tarot teacher that I learned a lot from, but I will also take other tarot courses. I'll teach tarot courses. And
right,
through teaching tarot courses, I'll learn even more, like I think you have to, if you're going to become a quote unquote professional in this field, then it is your duty to continue learning so that you can be, the conduit that we want to be. I'm such a firm believer in preparation and knowledge and I'm not a really like on the fly wing it kind of person. Like sometimes I wish I was a little more, but I think that you owe it to your clientele to continue your education. It's like a hairstylist, right? or
yeah,
teachers or anybody that you have to continue to grow and yeah, I think it's only going to make you a more well-rounded practitioner.
I agree. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for
Thank
listening
you.
to. Are you guys, let us know if you're a skeptic or have you had readings from us? Let us know in the comments. And we thank y'all for listening in. This was a great discussion today.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. So we will see you all next week. And we all of us hope you have a beautiful day and namaste.
Stay.